I watched The Babysitter for the first time back in March, and honestly, I never thought we were going to get a sequel. 2 years after defeating the cult led by his babysitter B, Cole is now up against the cult, trying to figure out a way to actually stop them again. Now, when this movie was announced, I was a bit kind of skeptic. I was like, okay, the first one ended so well, where are they going to go? I couldn't see any wiggle room from where the first one ended to see where this one could go, because I knew the first one ended a little bit of a cliffhanger, so you knew there was probably going to be a sequel. But I just didn't know how to be able to do it, and then I heard that the original cast, all of them, like King Batch, Bella Thorne, they were all coming back. I didn't know how they were going to play into the story, so I was a bit kind of skeptical going into it, wondering if it's going to be good, if it's going to be forced. Even in the first 20 minutes or so before they actually came back, I was still wondering, how are they going to come back? How is this whole thing going to work out? And I think the way it worked out, I think it worked out really well. I think it leaves the door open to do multiple sequels. I feel like the way this played out, you could do so many sequels. I just think it works well. I think they kind of bring back the cast. I think they're funnier in this movie than they were in the first because of what they went through in the first. I feel like the people like Robbie Amell, all those group, I think they're funnier in this movie just because of what they went through in the first one. I just think they work a lot better, even as a group. They kind of, in the first one, you could tell they knew each other, but they're just a lot closer in this movie. You could tell they worked a lot better in this movie, and I just think the group as a whole, all four of them, they are a lot better in the first movie, but I think they work better together in the second movie, and they got some funnier moments in this movie. They got some brutal death scenes in this movie, and it's just a lot of the brutality in this movie is, in all fairness, I think the brutality in this movie is a lot more brutal than it was in the first movie. Of course, he did have some brutal deaths, like King Batch's death was one that stood out to me in the first movie. And to continue on talking about those four people, they are all, as I said, they're over the top, they're ridiculous. And then looking at Cole, who is very down to earth, he's very kind of a bland in this movie. You think after what he went through in the first movie, he would be a bit more outrageous than he is. He's just kind of still like a generic person. He doesn't really have anything new to him. He's going through a lot of medical procedures because everyone thinks he's insane for obvious reasons. Everyone would think he's insane for what he actually went through. But I think his character just does not seem like someone who went through that. He kind of goes on like, why won't anyone believe me? But I just think there'd be a little bit more going on there because of what he went through in the first movie. So I just thought his character just didn't feel like Cole, who Cole was in the first movie. Even the actor, since it's been 3 years, and the kids at that age, they age so much and they look so much different in 3 years. And like an adult at 40 going to 43, there's not much different. But someone going from 15 to 18 is a massive difference. So even he looked so much different. So honestly, I just really didn't feel like this character was the exact same character we had in the first movie. Now, as I said, I really enjoyed the cult. I thought the relationship between them, they've all got such great chemistry. They work off each other all so well. Even the chemistry with them against Cole works great. Robbie Amell in particular, him and Cole's relationship is just great. You can tell, even from the first one, when Cole couldn't kick him in the balls, and he goes back and forth a lot in this movie. I think the chemistry, especially between those two, works really well. Cole does have some kind of, I can't remember the actress's name or anything, but she's going to be in Scream 5, but there's a relationship between these two that I enjoyed. But the biggest thing about this movie that knocks it down from the first one for me personally is the kind of emotional element. There's not really much of an emotional drive, and the fact is that most of the emotional elements in the first movie do come from the Bree or Samara Weaving's character, and the fact that she's not there, you really feel her absence. Honestly, I could feel her absence. As I was watching, I was like, there's definitely something missing. There's something that was great in the first movie that's definitely missing, and you know it's her. She's 100% missed. I think they really missed not having her in this movie. You really feel her absence, and it was really disappointing not to have her there, because I think if she was there with the cult throughout this movie, there'd be a lot more emotional elements towards her and Cole after all this time. I think it would have worked a lot better if she was part of the cult throughout this entire runtime. So in terms of the Babysitter Killer Queen as well as the Babysitter in general, I just think these movies are just a lot of fun to watch. The action is balls to the wall, it's incredibly bloodier, and this movie is bloodier than the first movie. I like the way it's got a special design like no other movie looks like this movie. There's a fight scene in particular that comes up with their life bar, very much like a Street Fighter kind of fight. I think it's such an original movie as well. The first one, the second one is even just as original because it's not like a carbon copy of the first one. It's got its own kind of unique way of telling the story. I think the second one is such a different movie than the first one. It's got its similarities, of course, because it is a sequel, but I think it definitely is a different type of movie, and I really hope we do get a third installment. I don't know how likely that installment is of a third installment, but I would love to get a trilogy of the Babysitter movies. So hopefully, fingers crossed, in the year 2023 we will get a third installment. I don't know how Cole's going to look or how Cole is going to be, but I would love to get another installment in 3 years time, so hopefully we do get that. So also, if you want to see more horror content from me in the future, make sure to click the subscribe button so you can come back in the future and see more horror reviews and rankings from me, especially in October. There's going to be a few rankings in there. One I'm working on at the moment is the Evil Dead movie, so if you want to see that ranking, make sure to click the subscribe button, and as always, thanks for watching.